My name's Joel Simmons. I care deeply about helping other people that are new to the spinal cord injury, as well as other people with disabilities. I try to keep in mind that getting involved with the community of disabilities, people with spinal cord injuries make up a small portion of this group, yet we all have things that transcend our disabilities. I was fairly active. I had a commercial instrument multi-engine rating in fixed-wing aircraft. We live out in the country, and I had a four-wheeler. I like to fish. I was into music, played the guitar from the time I was 20 till the time I was injured at 49. Very social. I was a flight attendant for 23 years, traveled both domestically and internationally. I was injured late in life. I was in a single-car automobile accident in March of 2010. So 8 o'clock in the morning, I lost consciousness on the interstate. I severed my spinal cord at C6 and C7. People have asked me how I lost consciousness, and I don't have any answers, and neither did the doctors. The car that was behind me said the front end started, looked like the car was shaking. I was in the middle lane of 3 lanes on the interstate, and they said I merged to the right like I was going to pull over to the emergency lane and never slowed down. I went up an embankment and rolled my car twice. I don't remember anything of that morning. Everybody that was at the hospital says that I was speaking and answering questions just as clear as me and you are speaking and answering questions now. But I don't recall these conversations. By the time any of my family got to the hospital, I've been fully briefed on my injuries, what my prognosis was able to tell my family that, but I don't recall any of it. The only things I recall of being in intensive care at UT is I can remember systematically going through my mind on how I would end my life. There's no way that I could live in this condition. And then slowly, methodically working through those areas and realizing I don't even possess the ability. There is life after spinal cord injury. And by the time I got to Shepherd Center for my initial inpatient therapy, I tried to concentrate on moving forward. My family was there from day one, not only my mother, my father, and my sister, but I had cousins who were just like brothers and sisters that were there. I was never by myself. I've truly been blessed with support throughout my entire injury. You know, I've been asked what were your greatest barriers. At first, it was just your basic necessities. Feeding yourself, grooming yourself, being able to brush your teeth, your hair, hold a drink. And then as a couple of years went by, I realized transportation was an issue. I was blessed that I had a family that would drive me. But to me, the greatest barrier to freedom was transportation. And that's a big difference to me in making a step towards independent living is being able to get out in the world. And I think a lot of the ways you get past barriers is to get involved with people that have similar injuries or similar situations, because ideas flow, and sometimes you'll be struggling to do something. You were just never taught it. You never saw it. It's a lot easier in numbers when you go, hey, how do you do this? And you may get 15 different ways to do a certain thing. You got to pick the one out that works for you. When I was at Shepherd, I was exposed to multiple tendon transfers. So I had called a key pinch tendon transfer. And with that, I could hold something like this phone with enough force where it won't fall out. I've picked up a 4-pound bag of Epsom salts at the grocery store, lifted it over my chair and set it. That tendon transfer changed my life dramatically. It's a surgery that's been around since the World War II. It's 3 weeks in a cast and it comes out of the box working. It's an outpatient surgery. I went back to school in 2016 and got a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling. And there was way too much typing to do. So I started utilizing Dragon Naturally Speaking. I wrote 15, 20-page papers and research papers with Dragon Naturally Speaking. And if I had to have typed it out, I'd have been there forever. I use a lot of voice dictation on my phone. Like right now, if I wanted to know something, I could just say, hey, you know who, whether it was Siri or whoever, call so-and-so. The technology's there. Like to move the mouse, I use a Kensington Expert trackball. So that big ball in the center moves your mouse. There's a scrolling ring around it that'll scroll your page up and down. And then your left and right click buttons, you can hit with the heel of your hand. Financially, I was able to go back to school through vocational rehabilitation. And every state has one. It's a state and federally funded organization. I bought a van vocational rehabilitation converted the van so that I could drive. Where I did my internship was East Tennessee Technology Access Center. We would have clients that would come in, whether through vocational rehabilitation or people just wanted to come in. I would just basically just kind of guide them along. Where are you? Where do you want to be? And what can we do to help you? Using technology to help people be as independent as possible. I'm also on the board of directors for our Independent Living Center, covers Knoxville City and County. And I love the fact that we can get on Zoom or on the web and get people answers and they can talk and see people. But I still feel like my community needs to be out more, whether it's on a patio after all this COVID's over with. I think it's real important for us to be out and in the community for both our own sanity as well as exposing the rest of the community. So it's not so odd to see people out. My support group called Able and Wheeling, not mine, but the group that we have at Patricia Neal, we'll meet and go to hockey games. We'll meet and go to baseball games. Try to find things that people have a shared interest in. And then you go as a group. It helps people build their confidence up. And two, it gives them a feeling like, man, it feels good to be out and have some fresh air. That's when you start living again, when you start partaking in things that are around you. My sister said something very profound not long after my injury. She said, until Joel had his injury, I'd never seen so many people in a wheelchair. And until it reaches out and touches you and yours, it's not really real. I've never parked in handicapped parking spots, so there's no reason I would know what the stripes were for. It never crossed my mind that those stripes were for a ramp to come down. So I'm in the process right now of getting community television to film some spots that are 15-second spots showing when you park, be smart. Hey, this is loading and unloading ramp zones for a lot of your neighbors. Be cautious, be careful. I'll be 60 years old in July. And at 60, I'd like to start getting out a little more in nature and getting some cardio. And I'd like to get involved in swimming for the cardio. And I would like to get into something to keep arm strength up. The end of March, I'm going to get together with a group called Catalyst Sports, and they're going to take me out of my power chair and put me in it's like a trail, an off-road wheelchair type thing that you can pump with your arms. My advice to be with you is, I know it's tough, and I know you can't see where it's heading, but all of these exercises and things that they're doing with you in your initial occupational and physical therapy, take them serious because it's building blocks. You're going to have to get some stronger biceps, shoulders, and all before you can focus on your fine motor skills. Go to bed tired and wake up and get after it the next day because they're going to kick you out. And if they offer outpatient, take all the outpatients you can get. Don't compare yourself. You can aspire to try to do things that others do, but we're not all going to be Paralympians. You got to do what's best for you and what's important to you. What was important to me? Social was important to me. So I worked to get back to social where I could go meet people at Market Square and sit outside and throw stuff at pigeons, get involved in peer support groups in your area, get involved in peer support groups that aren't in your area. Start being envious of people that are getting out and living and look around and see what options you have because there's a lot of them.